What's going on, y'all? So back from Jennings GP track. Man, what a fun day, what a fun day. You saw the last video where the bike got a little messed up, so I'm fine, I'm totally fine. A little bit of aches and pains, but other than that, thankfully, nothing too major. Able to walk away from it, so that's good news. I'm gonna show you the bike in a second, but a couple things I kind of want to give to people about going to track day and why I wrecked. So that's gonna be a big one. My first session was easy. We just went around the track a few times. We had 20 minutes on there and just kind of learning the curves, how everything works, you know, which turn comes after which. And then that was it. You know, second session, getting ready for that one, kicking it up just a little bit, you know, increasing speed around turns and stuff like that. What got me was almost a third time around, and obviously my freaking GoPro wasn't on. I went to go through the left, right, left turn, and I went wide on it, and I caught the grass, and the bike started tilting, and I had to make a decision. Do I crash on the asphalt, or do I go into the grass? And grass is softer, so I went into the grass, jumped off to the bike. I went one way, the bike went the other. Flipped over a few times, the bike did too. When I looked up, the bike was probably about 10 feet away from me, and I was probably about 30 feet away from the track. So they came, they got me, they got the bike, picked up all the parts, a bunch is right there. And that was pretty much it. Took a, you know, did my best to try and get back on the track, which I did for one more quick session. But the bike did not feel right. The handling was completely off. I did not want to risk it again, hurting myself or somebody else. So being that my ambition was way too high for where I should have been, I think next time we're definitely gonna take it a little bit slower. Instead of going from 1 to 5, maybe we'll go through 1, 2, 3, 4, then 5. One of the other things too, and I went into the super novice group. Like, it was a small group of us. There was only 30 people all together on the track. My group, I think, was like 5, maybe 6 at the most. Everybody's great riders, absolutely great riders. Really cool dudes. One thing for me the next time is I want to make sure that I am progressively increasing what I'm doing versus just, you know what, I think I got it, let's push it. Even though that's how we find, you know, where our threshold is, where we can and cannot do. Taking that turn, I was normally taking that 40, 45 miles an hour, and this time I decided to go close to about 70. Didn't brake hard enough or anything like that. That's why I went wide to try and come back in, and that's when I caught the grass. But what are you gonna do? So there you go, track day stories, right? I'm gonna give you a quick tour of the bike, kind of show you everything that happened to it. Like I said, it was nothing too major, a bunch of plastics and stuff like that. I'll retune the front end, make sure the forks are straight and everything else before I get back on it. But, you know, back from track day, still super excited. Got about 6 weeks before we go back to Jennings. So between now and then, definitely gonna practice a lot more. And that was another mistake I made. I took the bike from being stretched and lowered, which I was used to riding it that way. And I didn't give myself enough time, enough seat time on the bike to get really familiar with how the bike felt. You know, the CBR over here, that's a different story altogether. I know this bike really well, and they both handle completely differently. Even though we tuned the suspension on the Kawasaki 636, I rode it for a little bit, but not enough to do what I was doing over at Jennings. So next time I definitely want to be, you know, fully geared, you know, riding on the street in, you know, street gear versus in a one-piece fully leathered, you know, different gloves, different boots and everything else. It's a whole different experience altogether. You don't feel as free, you don't feel as comfortable. There's a lot happening. And track riding, to me, I think you need to be a lot more focused. And definitely, like, forget everything else. Everything I should have done, I know it's entirely my fault. 100% my fault. So this is where we're at. So let's take a look at the bike.
So the front end, as you can see, all the parts laid out. We got the belly pan, we got the side fairings, we got the gauge over there, pretty busted up. Headlights, no good. Right, bits and pieces. I was able to salvage some screws. So not too bad, not too bad. One thing I am happy about is that none of the controls are pretty messed up. You know, they didn't get damaged at all, so no broken levers, handlebars are good. You know, the forks look pretty straight. The only thing that I think happened is this turned a little bit. So when I was riding my second session after the bike, just like this on the track, it was, when I was holding it evenly, the bike was pulling to the left. Some other damage I noticed after the fact, you know, this little piece right here is broken. When the bike flipped over, it caught something right here, or a piece, something happened to it. Little scratches here, but nothing overly major happened to the bike. So coming around the back, you see the back fairing, nothing. The exhaust is fine. Rear wheel, nothing at all. Most importantly, the engine, nothing happened. It didn't leak any fluids, so no oil, no coolant, nothing. Everything is absolutely fine. So I'm gonna start ripping this apart. I'm gonna head down to our friends over at OZ Cycles down in Daytona. There's a link in the description for their eBay store on there. These guys are amazing. They actually help me a lot with all the parts that I need for the bike all the time. So I'll put a link in the description. You can check them out, and let's get into it. All right, guys, so we're back from OZ Cycles. We got some parts. Gonna start pulling all this off. Replace them out real quick. Let's see how quickly we can get this bike back in one piece. There we go. Ram air is done. This was the old. This is the new. Uno, dos, tres. Light. Oh, when it's trashed. Well, we got light. So this is interesting. So when the bike crashed, the plug came out of it, right? So it was facing like this. Bike crashed, the plug came out. One of the issues at the track was the bike wouldn't start, kept on blowing a fuse. The wires were all separated, so I taped them up so I could use it on the track. So now I gotta figure out how to get this all back together. A little bit of cutting and splicing about to happen. Stay tuned. There we go. We got the gauges back in, got the headlights back on. We are moving on this thing. Everything is looking good. Oh yeah, about to put the fairings on. Definitely want to send a huge shout out to OZ Cycles for helping me out with most of these parts here. I couldn't have done this without you guys. Check the link in the description if you guys need to get some parts for your bike. I got a link to their eBay store on there.